Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Rugby Analysis Deep Dive with me, Geraint Davis. In this episode, I'm joined by Duane Goodfield, who's forwards coach at the Cardiff Blues, and he's going to focus specifically on the ruck area from the attack perspective. We're going to share our own practice ideas from our own environments, in addition to lots of clips from across the leagues, from European Cup, the Gallagher Premiership, and indeed the Pro 14. If you enjoy what you see, please do subscribe below to help the channel grow, and put your questions into the comment section, and we'll be happy to get back to you as soon as we can. Let's get into it. Duane, thank you very much for coming on to the next episode of the Deep Dive. I know you're very passionate about all areas of the game. If you just want to introduce yourself and just a little bit about the focus area you want to talk about today.
Thanks, Get. Yeah, so I finished playing rugby in 2012, and then actually took some time out of rugby. I went into some teacher training, had a good break from it, and then sort of got persuaded to get back into it through a local friend in a local rugby club. And then probably the journey started from there. A few years later, became a development officer, worked with the WRU for 3 years as a development officer, and then probably found my love for it again, and then dived back into the academy world with the Cardiff Blues. And I've been there since. In the last 2 years, I've been coaching with the seniors, which has been really good. And the subject we're going to be talking about is the contact area.
Yeah, I know you're very passionate about that. What people won't know is that we shared a rugby field together for a couple of years when we were much younger. And the contact areas is probably for both of us an area that we're pretty passionate about. So this is definitely one I'm very excited for, and one that I think we can get into some real good detail with. So without further ado, Duane, let's get into it. Right, Duane, your first clip. So we've got Cardiff Blues versus Edinburgh. So we've got a kick chase as the context, and the wide gives us a little bit of context to what we see, and we'll go back and forward through the clips as we go. And then just for the viewers to understand the way that we're going to work this is that these first clips are all Duane's clips, and are all focused on the contact area. And then what we'll do is look at some of the practice around that area, and then I'll show some of my clips and then some other practices around it, and we'll hopefully pick up on some of the detail in between. So Duane, just tell us what you're seeing. So just from the first part of the clip.
So to give you guys context, done some research over the last 2 or 3 years, and most contact areas were lost with kick receipts and wide channels. So this is an example where we're away in Edinburgh. Edinburgh have cleared the lines through a line-out exit. And they're unbelievable on the kick chase. So, for example, during the week, we would spend a lot of time on our efforts to get back, and then just be really subtle on our entry to ruck. So this is probably a good example where we're on a real competitive race with them to get back. And you can just about see Will Boyd, who does a great subtle block line. So he blocks in there.
Cool. So downfish, carrying into contact, and then just pick up on the entry.
Yeah. So if you take it back a little bit, so the biggest, so our principle is to win races to ruck, and obviously with them flooding onto the ball, Will has obviously had to turn around. Now our focus is always ball focus. I think if we become threat focused, our eyes end up getting high, and we end up high as an athlete. Therefore, if we ball focus, we can focus on the ball. Now, if there's a threat near the ball, on the ball or entering it, we can make sure that we get rid of that threat. And it's exactly what Will has done here. His body angle is really low. There's a threat coming towards the ball, and he's managed to skew the ruck for us.
Yeah, I mean, his profile picture is come from a really non-ideal situation. So he's, as you say, he's had to turn the corner from the kick chase, and even his work pre that was pretty impressive. And I love the way he just chases his feet just after. So nice and low, chases his feet through, and then he gets his feet into the ball.
It's a really good point, and you know we work a lot on being really positive and our energy. So he could have easily just nose dived into that contact area and just sealed off and sort of sealed over the ball, in a negative position. But you know he chased his feet. He's trying to get an upright position. The threat is cleaned off. He's on the floor. So you know Will has been really positive there.
Yeah, just probably worthwhile picking up a little bit on what you're saying from the kick itself. So even his awareness on the way back to just check a little bit and just influence the chase side a little. I mean, it just means that when Fish receives the ball and carries, he's got that a couple less threats. So there's 2 good blocking lines there that enable the any of the outside guys to not quite get into the ideal position. And the fact that he's first on the ball, I mean, that small check there, just getting himself in a good haul, as well as giving Fish an opportunity for potentially a line break. But the inside tacklers done pretty well to get to him. So the prep for the breakdown is pretty important too, isn't it?
Oh, it's massive. And, the training week for us looked exactly like this, because we knew how effective and how well drilled Edinburgh are.
Mm-hmm. Good. So next clip, just tell us what you're seeing.
So this is young Max Llewellyn on his first debut in a big game for us. The whole picture here is ball presentation. So the length he gets away from the defensive line. So he sort of goes forward with great momentum, and he gets a great placement. Now Max is 6'4", so we're looking to get a long placement to get away from these jackal threats, which are forever more in the game now. And it's particularly on first phase, you can see the players around the ball. You got 2-8, you got the back rower coming into the picture. So there's a heavy contested area for the ball.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on, get.
Yeah, just I'm interested with his fall. How much focus do you place on falling shoulders forwards and trying to build momentum in your carry?
Yeah, so like a lot of teams, a lot of coaches, you'll hear the term score the try, but ours is purely based on go forward. First rule of thumb, go forward.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're on the floor, just being so dynamic, changing pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't make it easy for the jackler or the person coming for the ball. So the changing pictures on the floor for us is a buzzword which we'll use a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, if you look at first arrival, it's Will Boyd again in this clip. Again, if you just hold it there, so his focus is, he knows there's a threat coming towards the ball with the players around it, but he's gone through the ball. Mm-hmm. Now, it's really important we do that. The one to show good pictures to the referee, and technically being really efficient, which he does, yeah.
Yeah, again, I mean, his consistency in the contact area is pretty impressive. Again, chasing feet after. It's interesting. He could quite easily have lost his feet and gone completely off feet, but he's still working hard to try and stay on feet and paint a good picture for the referee, which I think is pretty positive. I think the speed that when Max hits the floor, just the speed that he works his way around. I mean, that's pretty impressive work on the deck. I think a lot of that is influenced by the fact that when he falls, he's not turning in the contact as such. He's using his momentum to go forwards, you say. So kind of following the principle quite nicely. And obviously the tackler itself, quite often the tackler can actually help a momentum. So it's quite subtle, but as the tackler makes a tackle, his momentum is taking him in the same direction as Max wants to go. So he's riding the tackle really nicely. And then just even the lateness of the punch. So balls in a chest, and then just as the end of the contact comes, so Boyd is cleared, threat is gone, then the ball's punched out. So just with that protection, I mean, you can imagine the ball being out there. Clearly, that's a dangerous place for the ball to be right now, with feet and potential threat. So nicely worked on the deck. Next one's got Connect, and you can see we've got a kind of play same way context. Just tell us what you're seeing, Duane.
Yeah, so it's probably a good example of when we've lost shape completely. We were lost a little bit in play. There's been an error in the previous play from Source. So rescale has just carried up for us. Now, this is an area which we need to get better as a team. So we've got Alan Amos here as probably first supporting player on the outside, who's pretty much been ineffective. The jackal obviously on the ball. Granted, illegal hands on the floor, etc. But this is what happens in the game. The importance for me in this one is how effective and how inside clean it is. So Ollie Robinson is in the blue scrum cap. And we'll talk technically a little bit more later on of how we coach that. But a great clean to save the ruck for us and so we can keep playing. And I'll talk about inside 45s as angles, and that's key for us. So we need to be positive, we need to be legal, but we need to be really technically efficient. And it's a great clip of what Ollie's done here.
Yeah, he's a big old influence. It's interesting with the ball carrier. So the first jackler, just interested what he's done. Just in that small moment, he's not gone for the ball immediately. He's influenced the body. So momentum wise, you can't get a long present, you can't get yourself around because there's a guy that's all over you and is trying to stop you from doing it. But just even having his top shoulder down over the ball as the ball carrier just makes it that little bit more difficult to get hands on ball. And then say changing picture, then tries to work his present, and right at the end of the clip he then is moving his hands back. So the complexity of the tackle is pretty massive, isn't it?
Oh, huge, yeah, huge.
So next one, tell us what you're seeing, Duane.
So we're actually trying to clear our lines here, again under slight pressure. And what you've got here is we'll spend a lot of time on winning races. The game is based on winning races, particularly the way we play as our attacking DNA. But we will lose races, and this is an example where we've lost the race. I believe it's Stanley Ditt over the ball. So our tackle is pretty much isolated. It's been sort of manhandled in that contact area, so he's not in control of how he's landed and presented. So that's a great example where you see Danley is over the ball in a decently strong position with his body forward, but a real good technical clean by our loose head Brad Thayer. So as he approaches, he's staying within 45 there. If we take it back a little bit, get. So on his approach, he's looking at stop there. So he's looking at back, his hand getting on the back and knee, head inside hips and the ribs, and trying to keep our hips as square as we can. Now on entry, that's excellent. The challenge for us is to continue that positivity on exit. So he removes the threat really well here, and then it's his ability to bounce back to his feet and be real positive. In this example, he doesn't, and gets pinned down a little bit by Josh, but you can't take away how effective his clean was.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. A lot of the practices that we do, we can get caught in doing best case type practice, but this happens. An interesting point you're making about the levers. So gone for leg and arm, head under ribs, and then just works really hard to get on the corner after. But the reload after, I mean, that definitely helps referees picture, doesn't it?
That's going to be huge, and it's going to be even bigger moving forward. So we'll talk about entry and exit. So if we're efficient and legal on entry, and then how efficient and positive we can be on exits.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And we'll probably build on that one in our next clip.
Another good example here where we're retreating backwards, which happens, and these are the hardest rucks to win, particularly again if you look where it is on the field, it's in the 50-meter channels. Jackal is completely over the ball. Ball carrier is isolated with 3 Ospreys defenders. But the real good work of our open side to you guys. So James Ratty in the black scrum cap, really efficient. As he enters the contest, he stays within 45. If you look at his hips are still within sort of if we take the corner flag as a guider for us, he's still within. A great example of a real good clean for us. And I also like his positivity here, post clean. So we talk about entry. His entry is efficient. Technically, he's good. You play it through. As he removes the threat, he just bounces back as soon as he can to protect the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good pick for the ref.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think it's important to pick up on the angle of entry. I think there's a lot of supporters and a lot of coaches and players would maybe look at it and think about the coming in at the side. We'll probably clarify this as we go through. But the 45-degree angle would qualify as being through an onside position, which I think you've explained there nicely with if using the corner flags as your guide, keeping your hips inside of those corner flags is a pretty good measure for being within that angle. Just talk to us what you see in terms of what the players are thinking about you, Duane. So they made contact.
So on it. So if you take it back a bit, so James Ratty is thinking on his arrival. So that's a great picture. We've lost the race. So again, we talk about we train winning races. In this example, we've completely lost the race. A ball carrier is isolated. So in his head now he's thinking technically he's got to be really efficient to move this threat. So he's looking at his inside arm to remove the Jackal's inside arm off the ball. Again, is that back arm onto the back of the knee to lift that leg off the floor, and then the defender is going to be unstable. So it's basically like we call it. If you think of a chair on the floor and you cut one of his legs off, it's going to fall over. So we're just trying to make that Jackal unstable. But the pleasing thing for us is how positive that clip is, and also it's done within law and is safe.
Yeah, cool. Slightly different picture. So more of the kind of conventional carry off 9 type of picture. It's interesting you saying about a lot of the turnovers coming from those kick chases, and this is one where we're going forwards onto the ball. So it's a different picture.
Yeah, and I liked your episode 1, so I thought I'd include this one. So if you take it back just before, so we got Kirby Mile, great rugby player, good footballer. No, we know as a team we need a lot of ball movement and numbers towards the line to penetrate and go for soft shoulders. In this example, we're playing against the Ospreys, who had probably a big influence by Sean Edwards a few years back on double shots in defence. So our late footwork and carry height is key for us, which you see that Kirby's done really well here. As soon as he tacks, we know he's not going to pass, particularly as an outside support player. Then that's the key in the recognition, where you know you've got one job to do. So Scott Andrews here has done a great job in removing outside double target on him, which is Paddy Davis.
Yeah,
which is a great example of sort of training practice into games.
Yeah,
keeps us on the front foot. We get decent speed of ball.
Yeah, I think it's such an important point. I mean, we could talk about the fact that at the minute there's not a great deal at the back of it, so there's not too much deception going on in terms of influencing the other defenders. But the ball carrier can do a lot, as can the outside guys. So even the angle on the outside is a pretty positive angle right now. Interesting where the first focus is, and that's taking away the tackler. We'll probably see a decent amount of that. So in terms of threat, the threat has gone pre-tackle completion. So what could have been a jackal situation there, there's effectively a double tackle from the attack inside as well as the defensive side. I think the two probably one is a product of the other. We see loads of double tackles now, so inevitably you could double tackles from the attackers as well, which then means that we can just lock over ball after and the defense leave the ball alone. Just talk to me about go forwards in this one, Duane. So Cardiff have gained go forwards. How important is that to you in terms of maintaining continuity and momentum?
Yeah, it's crucial. We're big on positive set outcomes, and this would be, again, this was off a kick receipt, so we've gained, we're back in control of going forward. Now we've got an option to make decisions with our halfback scanning and looking up to see what they can do. But the go forward is huge for us, and it has a knock-on effect. But it's all based around, for us, our positive sets.
You've kindly offered some of your own footage from your own training sessions, and we can compare that then a lot to what we've seen so far. So talk us through your first practice. So we've got the left hand side gives the picture of the whole practice, and then the right hand side then is just a zoomed in version of it. So just talk us through your practice and your rationale you're doing.
So this should be a technical session. So often tail end of the week or pre-season sessions when you get a chance to get a bit more time with the boys or some extras. So the left hand side is just multiple groups work at the same time, very much coaching themselves after they obviously understand the technical detail which the right hand side picture shows. So just an example of on the right hand side, you've got Will Boyd, who's clean no threat over the ball. Again, this is real low level technical work. And the key and the cues and the triggers we're looking at here is when Will Boyd goes to clean, he's looking for his inside arm. If you play slow over there, inside arm to sort of remove and dent that inside arm on the ball off the jackler. We actually managed to hold on to the ball here. But with his outside arm then, he's looking to get that back leg off the floor, remove threat, bounce back to his feet and be real positive in his finish.
Yeah,
so low level drills.
You can see, even with that, you can see that this is essentially the picture that we were seeing before. I think that's the part of your delivery and our discussions before that I've been most interested by is just how context specific your practices are. That you can picture that. I mean, that's what we've just seen on the Saturday, which I think is important. Just talk us through this next one.
So again, but backs are working here. So there's Lloyd 09 working with Jason Tovey, the 10. Again, this one we're just looking to remove levers. Same principle. So you're looking to remove lever off ball, shoulder there. So for me now that contact area is one. Again, when you've got smaller men going against big men, sort of your back row boys, your hookers over the balls, very difficult to move. So the more technically efficient we can be, the better to keep producing ball.
Yeah, I
Just
think
go and get.
I'm sure most backline players can relate to that. It's interesting that we can be talking about force and just hit him hard. Well, unfortunately, particularly the top level of the game, that doesn't cut it. And we see that at all levels of the game for that matter. You can say about just going in and putting more force in, but if the other guy is in a really, really good position, there's got to be more to it. And this is a good example of very little force being applied, and yet just using destabilizing. And just love the Lloyd's little pull away of the arm, and is very, very aware then of getting his shoulder in tight.
Yeah, and if you look at the left screen, then you can see where he's reaching for his back arm. So his back arm's going for the back of his knee to get his leg off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you get them two off, you've pretty much won the ruck. To do that live speed during the game is difficult, but that's why most of our training is based on technical work rather than pure physicality and brute force.
Yeah, and I actually really like this practice because it's a bit of it's a mix in there, and it's dynamic, but a competition between the boys as well.
Yeah, so this is a huge progression from the first drill. So if you think of what we're looking for, you're looking for a jackler over the ball, which is probably there. So that's what we've seen in the previous drill. Now the two guys racing, so you'll have you got one guy passing off his knee. He's racing to secure a ball. Now the detail here is how Josh Turnbull has got his entry correct. So he's gone on us inside 45 line. He's got head under hips. Okay, his inside arm needs to be a little bit better, but the real pleasing thing for me, he's got that back leg. So he's managed to find that back leg.
Mm-hmm. What would you see from his inside arm doing? What would you improve?
So his inside arm, where he's got his strapping on it, difficult picture to show, but he's really looking to get the jackler's inside arm off the ball, or at least fight to remove it off the ball, mm-hmm. where he's probably just left it redundant in that example, so he needs to fight harder with his inside arm. Mm-hmm. But because he hits with decent force, and he's low when he's got that back leg off the floor, he's able to remove the threat.
Yeah, probably draw on the right screen if watchers just turn their attention to the right hand screen. You can see as Turnbull comes in, if by coming on the 45, it does lots of things. It helps the destabilizing, but it has a massive effect on momentum. So if he comes an extra meter to the left before entry, he's got to turn a bigger corner. He's going to slow himself down into the contact. Being able to come in on a small angle just really helps momentum into the contact. It means that he can hit that with real force, which is why you see a lot of clears coming from angles, inside or outside. Do you have any preference on inside or outside clears, Duane?
Inside's massive. Was gambling in support for potential offload, or was that the react late because he's in exactly the same line as the ball carrier. So the inside line of the inside support player is huge. The race and the technical ability there is massive.
Yeah, and I think this is a nice practice when we talk about the race. Just talk us through.
Just fun drills in pre-season, bit of competition. So it's just literally reaction to get starting red. The trigger will go green or blue, and then there'll just be a race around to get centering for the ball. Now the detail here is, although it's a real low level drill, the jackler, although they're not extremely low, they're just given a target. So I don't like doing a lot of work with shields. I think shields can be a false picture. I think we can get a lot of work done with our body angles, our ability to get low through hips and knees underneath targets. So you've got that sort of open window box. They call different names. So if you look on the right side screen, for example, you see the jackler's got their hands on the ball, and it's just the ability to get squares and end up centering through the ball. And it's a great example from Seb Davis on the right-hand side screen, who's Seb 6'6", and he's able to get that low, but it needs a lot of practice.
Yeah, and I like the competition aspect of it. I mean, it's I think this is this is game related. It in itself isn't game. It is game related. You can picture the game from a bit of reaction to the boys, and I mean this little bit of competition and mix up your practice. I think it's a really cool thing to add in, and generally boys love it, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, into a next practice, a slightly more drilled down one.
Yeah, so this would probably be our our end of week, so maybe on Thursday. So Tuesday we try and get our sort of heavy contact done, if any at all. Then this would be like an extras session, or picking up the boys for some key extras, or maybe on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So this example which you're looking at here, you've got 2 players, and they'll both just be called 1 and 2, or you could have different colour cones. And then I would just give them the call, and then they just react to themselves. But what they've got to do is be as efficient as they can technically. So it's the same drill as you've seen previously, but now they don't know which one's going to go off each cone, and then they'll just keep rotating around, going off both sides. They're practicing both shoulders, both strikes. That's a real good example actually from Ollie Robinson. If you look at his entry and his exit, is superb. So if you go back to the start, he's got that inside arm off the ball. He's fighting to get inside arm off the ball. He's low with head and the hips. He's got his back leg off the floor, but watch the way he finishes.
Mm-hmm.
He drives through really positive and gets square over the ball. Again, low level drills, but massively important for us.
Yeah, definitely.
The physical element of the game because of the nature of the games these days is so physical.
Mm-hmm.
Bodies take a long time to recover. So the more we can do technically, hopefully they'll carry on into a game weekend.
Yeah, I think that's so important at all levels of the game. Is that players are generally pretty sore, pretty beat up, even on a Tuesday. And traditionally Tuesday is a contact session in the community game. We got 2 sessions per week, and boys, when they get to that stage, you can't be beating boys up 2-3 times a week. But if you want them to be able to, particularly as amateurs or semi-professional rugby players, they need their recovery time. So it's finding ways that are transferable into the competitive domain, but are also achievable, that you think are the boys are going to manage through their week, and they're still going to be able to go to work on a Wednesday after your session. It's a tough balance, and I think these practices are a real nice balance in there. So okay, Duane, so this is a progression from the one that we saw before. Just talk us through.
Yeah, real simple drill. Again, the boys on the bags are just varying their height on sort of a target. Again, not using pads, just hands on ball. And then you've got the guys racing in front. The guys from behind are also tracking. They've got to track the same line and then just lift the ball. So we're looking at, can we win the ruck with one player? Mm-hmm. Yeah, great if we can. What can we do with the second player? Because usually we're attacking sort of threes. The first episode you presented was excellent on numbers to the line. Are we redundant? Are we making players redundant to the ruck? What other decision can he make if the ball's available? So this is just a simple drill of, again, racing which group, which pair can get over the ball first and get the ball off the floor. So just a bit of competitiveness between the groups. Yeah,
and again, the competition in there is a really nice thing to have. We can lots of this can be done in gameplay, but in a fully competitive week where there's lots of different components to it. This is about variety, and there's lots of opportunity to make this into gameplay as well, which the players can relate to then. So this is a bit of a build up of the kind of competitive aspect of it.
Yeah, this is just, as you can see, change direction. Players never know which way they're going to go to start with, so it's on a reaction call. And then it's just a bit of contact from a bag. So, returning to training, returning to contact for maybe injured boys, and just a little progression to, so we're sticking in contact. So we've done a lot of races. We've done a lot of body angles. Now it's just getting that bump on maybe pre-season drills where we can get some contact in.
Yeah, and then your heavier example of that. So your race type context again. And then
yeah, so real good detail on this one, Get. If you just take it back a little bit. So it's the same principle in winning races. Okay, as he falls, we put a lot of emphasis on groundwork. So when he falls to the deck, as he hits the floor, hold it there. So he's actually waiting for something to happen over him. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we can move. And we don't know what's going on around us. So it's trying to get the players to have appreciation of what's going on around us. Can we take a glance? Can we look at feet tracking in front of us? Is there threats over us? Mm-hmm. Sometimes if we move too soon, there's no threat. Granted, yeah, we can play the ball. But I think in this example is a good, you've got Josh Turnbull here who's, been an international back row player against Matthew Morgan. And Lewis's groundwork on the floor, the ball player, actually probably helps the contact area massively. Mm-hmm. And Matthew Morgan's just able to stick in. We're not expecting these boys to win the physical battle all the time. So can they have appreciation of who they're working with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the speed of his when he decides he needs to go, that speed of reaction is massive, isn't it? And keeps on fighting. And even there, where he could have lost contact with the ball, I mean, small loss of control, still fights to keep control of it, rather than the ball bobbling out. How often do we see players leave and go the ball completely and then not being aware? So I think it's a real nice behaviour.
No, real good work. That's a great picture, Matthew Morgan. No, he's gone in. He knows he's not the biggest. He's going to be really challenged to get counteracts. So he's anchored on. He's got good grips on the jersey. He's stayed low. I know he's only short anyway. You won't mind me saying that. But some really good work from him.
Okay, into next one.
Same here. You can see Willis's groundwork is magically on the deck. So as soon as he hits the deck, he's looking to see the picture unfold. So if you just watch him, he waits until a picture comes on top of him. Granted, it's a 10 going for the ball, which we don't see a lot of, but it's still a race. It's still competitive. But that shift in body movement on the deck just allows him to get free and makes it easier for the player in support of actually have to go around slightly. Because the tackle is in the way, Dacey's in the way on the floor, so he's had to go around him.
Yeah.
So the actual groundwork on the floor is huge.
Yeah, and this moment there, just to elaborate on what you're saying, the left picture probably shows this really nicely. Right now, the focus is on where the ball is at this moment. So all your body is being aligned to where the ball is right now, and then that picture changes. Yeah. And it's probably no coincidence he's then lost his feet, lost his balance, because the picture changed so late and so sharply that he's not there anymore. So it's that lovely bit of awareness and deception on the floor, and we're seeing that in gameplay as well. So when you think about evidence in transfer, we're seeing that in the clips we've seen even already, and we'll see a few more in a moment. Next one.
Okay, so I put this one in again. It's not all perfect and it's not all pretty. So if you watch the supporting player, hold it. So this is the difference between trying to clear out. It's very difficult to clear out a threat over the ball, even though granted the jackal was slightly illegal for a split second there with hand on the floor. But that's the picture you'll see on the left-hand screen with most contact areas which are won defensively. Now, from an attacking perspective, our supporting player, Jason Harries, has gone too square. Now, you're never going to win that ruck being that square. Now, Jason's a big, explosive man. Now, again, the importance of winning inside races, staying on an inside line, being within 45, inside the low. If he stayed within 45, if you just take it back a little bit. So on his arrival, if he can stay on that inside line now and he's racing the other defender who's on his feet, that's the line he needs to keep racing on the picture on your right-hand side. What Jason does, the support player, is he gets too square and ends up getting pretty much head on head, shoulder on shoulder. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to win there. You're not going to win it, and that's why we work so hard on these inside lines.
Yeah, I think anybody who's ever coached the Scrum, and obviously you're the Scrum coach of the Blues as well, will appreciate the difference in that's effectively become more like a Scrum. And if one of your props is cheating at scrum time and is putting some angles in on the opposition player, it's virtually impossible to stop. Well, at Ruck we have that opportunity to get in at a small angle, a 45-degree angle, to find the lever there, and this now becomes a push on push, which is a very difficult position to get somebody off the ball, particularly when they're there first. I mean, you might get away with it, or I would suggest you will get away with it if you're the first person over the ball, or even just around the same time. But if you're there marginally late, which this is, that's an incredibly tough position to move somebody off the ball. Sorry, Duane. Just with I think it's probably important. I know we're focusing a lot on attack ruck, but defensive ruck is an important part here. So we've got a jackal over the ball, and then we've got a backup as well. Just talk to me about focus there.
Yeah, it's the first thing to point out. Obviously, the jackal in the game you'd hope would be penalised. His hands on the floor, but the reason why his hands on the floor, if we take it back a little bit, is because of the extra fight the guy on the floor has done with the ball. So if you just watch the guy on the ball, he's moved, so he's gone forward, actually trying to get through his legs, which has made the jackal unstable, which then put his hands on the floor there. Now, yeah, from a defensive point of view, defensively, our contact there, we've got a huge focus on that at the Blues. So this actual drill can train both elements of the game. Obviously, then we can just referee it and make decisions as we go. But we want to change the picture. We want it to be difficult for the players, and to be to have a lot of variety in it.
Mhm.
But obviously sticking to principles and what we're trying to achieve through the practice.
Yeah, cool. Just I kind of enjoyed that backing up concept. I think Wales probably did it quite a lot in the Six Nations. We've seen it a lot from all teams, I suppose, in different ways. Ireland have done it for a while, just latching on to your own player in defence and making your jackler really hard to move. So knee behind his bum, arms around his waist, you're his extra bit of ballast. So it becomes a 2-on-1 in the contact. But your only aim really is to keep the jackler in the fight. I mean that he can't be cleared off.
That's the technical points you mentioned, and is purely that just to enable him to stay within the fight.
And then went into some of the clips I picked out. So what I thought would be useful is to change the picture a bit, put got some Gallagher Premiership clips in, got some European clips in, just to pick up some additional things, and then to see what kind of crossover there is between different teams and leagues. So this context, Murray's has made a break, fantastic break, with Simpson over the ball, and it's just a one-on-one contest over the ball. And I was immediately interested by the fact that in training we think, is one-on-one realistic? Well, it happens quite a lot, in fact. So the fact it's a line break means the challenge is less likely. So Simpson gets over, but what he doesn't do is stop. So if you think about key points wise, so anchoring, pretty big concept, Duane. You see it a lot in the game.
Yeah, the first thing when you got a one-on-one, first of all, have we won the race to the ball? Yes, he has, and now is he in a strong position? You'd argue no, he's not. And where is his head? He's looking down. So he probably doesn't know what's happening in front of him. I know they'd be the key things I'd be picking out.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. Head down, anchored on the ball, actually stops the challenge because of it. But then the challenge is still able to get through, and that affects the next pass. So Morgan's then taking a difficult pass. And I just really like the fact Lewis Ludlow at the back of it. He's just about to play the ball away, but Simpson's he's communicated really well. So sometimes those small bits of communication can just make such a big difference. Lewis was pretty keen to get that ball out, I would imagine. But Simpson's decided he needs to get over, so real good awareness and listening. And then just I'm interested by his actions then getting up off the floor. So Grobler's getting up with him. Ball's played away. I'll fast forward through 3 phases. And then when we get then to the next end point, we then got Grobler and Ludlow then in the outside channel working really hard again together. So kind of ruck practice. Loads of practices we do are in those small situations. The players have also got to understand how it then fits into the bigger picture. So the fact they knew that when they got up from that ruck, they had to reload, get back to the edge, and then be able to manage the ball again. I think it's a big part of player understanding is how those small moments fit into the bigger picture. Into our next one, so we've got Racing 92 against Saris back in the European Cup. So got Vakatawa breaking through. Just look at the ruck area itself. So it's a lot of things you talked about already. So in terms of inside clear, so we've got Lorette coming on the inside clear, and then we've got Tackler who's currently in the way. So just talk to me about what you're seeing there, Duane.
Yeah, and this is obviously the this is where referees are getting better at, and every year it's becoming more of an understanded area. Although it is difficult to referee, but the 6 for Racing has had to take that entry because of the tackler. So you'd hope the referee would be looking at tacklers, the Saris tacklers affected that line.
Mm-hmm.
What I really like on this example is the outside support player. If we take it back a bit, so the hooker here has actually gone into a support line. So he's looking for that support line. We've had to retract slightly to then get back into that 45 clean. Which if you think of how you practice your session, how you design your practice sessions, this is a great example of that. So we've actually gone past the blade on the floor. We've had to come back now to retreat the ruck.
Yeah, such an important point. So yeah, Bowman is running a good support line, but he's gone past. reloaded, and then has made effective movement after, which I think is really important. So just right on the inside, I think just what I'm really really impressed with is just how quickly he drops his body height there to get over the inside threat. I mean, he's restricted by the tackler, but then is able to get through, chase his feet, and then actually takes away look at the back of the ruck, takes away that threat completely. So it's actually really effective clear from a really non-ideal situation. Next one, so we got Sharks against Saints. So nice carrying, quite a I suppose regular. I talk about the Rock getting contact. So Ross carrying into contact, and then you've got John on his outside, who's bound early. So a lot of teams call it the latch. I call it the rocket. He's effectively giving him momentum in the contact area, and that just means the two-man tackle is met by a two-man carry, and the Saints can't get to the rocket at this moment, and that just allows Van der Merwe then to get in over the ball. So just a situation where there maybe could have been a turnover. Also outside present. So Ross is thinking about his chest being away from the inside jacklers, turning his shoulder away, and then working to present them from there. In an ideal world, maybe you would have presented outside, but pretty tough in that environment. So what do you see in there, Duane?
Again, it's probably different. You will see in the game where we rely on a lot of ball movement, and a lot of teams do. Aside, as big and physical as Sale are, as many of the English teams. Obviously, the first rule of thumb is to go forward, exactly what you've said. And I think it's just, I really like the reaction from the Sale hooker to get back on their inside support line again. Mm-hmm. We probably all know if most jackals come from the inside. So if you're that third, maybe that redundant player floating around the ruck, I would not guarantee, but it would be a very, very high chance that if there's going to be a sniff at the ball, it'd be from someone from the inside. Yeah. So I like his tracking line here to get back over he's read the ball carrier very well, and the ability to get back over the ruck from the inside is excellent.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely a really nice reaction to follow through. Then seeing this next one, so Saints carrying, and then just take that back slightly. So Ludlam is slightly overrun, and then then had to come back around, and then just with Ruttingawara, then has made contact. Just how hard he works in the contact to get him forwards. So pretty contested area, but just works so hard to get the ball carrier forwards, and then we end up with a one-on-one. So Curry gets in over the ball. Ludlam at this point, he's got a good player in the way, and is now going to try and get in and try and win that battle. So he's actually gone for a kind of this was a semi-roll. What are your thoughts on that final clear, Duane?
Oh, he's got limited options. I think first of all they're trying to outmatch him physically by going forward, and the carries are very, very upright and looking for that physical battle in this game, which looked evident. Mm-hmm. But at that moment in time at the end, he's had to go to his last resort, which looks like the old sort of rollout. Mm-hmm. He's got limited options there.
Yeah, there's not too much you could do there. And I actually quite like the fact that he's fully clamped under the arms. His head's in tight, so he's the kind of head to head, but he's got shoulders going down on top. So he's rather than getting underneath, he's got shoulders on top because he couldn't get underneath, and has used Curry's body weight then to pull him round and get him off the ball.
If you're being really picky technically, this is the battle. How effective would he have been if he rolled out the other way? Mm-hmm. He's coming back into traffic, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. So direction of travel, kind of momentum was potentially going the other way.
Yeah. That's a tough contact to win.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's done pretty well with it in the end, hasn't he? So yeah, good, nice contact. And then this one catches my eyes for quite a few reasons, really. So lovely work on the floor. I mean, the Ludlam's desperation to get forwards does really, really well to get forwards. And then Van der Merwe goes over the ball. And the thing that really caught my eye was, well, why does Van der Merwe get over the ball? So you've just watched Proctor, so at 13, just watch his actions here on Dupree's. So it takes Dupree's off the ball, and that actually allows Van der Merwe to get in over it. So we see a load of tackling the tacklers, and we've talked about it in some of the clips you brought, and it's something I'm a fan of. The issue is where the ball is now. So ball is clearly it's a metre or so away, or half a metre away. It's taken away a potential threat. I'm not convinced that Dupree's would have been the threat at Ruck, and that actually allows Van der Merwe to get over the ball. They'd given away a penalty already, so kind of it went back for the previous infringement. But what's your thoughts on the strategy Proctor's gone for there, Duane?
Oh, I like his intent and his enthusiasm. I just think that he's lost track of ball. And that would be it for me. If it was one of our players, I'd be saying that you're not scanning and tracking ball, or your own support player. I don't think he's close enough. I don't think he's part of the. I think he's not part of the tackle. Mm-hmm. He's released the actual his own players gone to deck. His focus now needs to be on the ball.
Yeah, and we could be ultra, and the aim is to definitely not be critical. Is to be analytical, and the potential there is Ragnac actually could have allayed that. So he's clearly thinking of a next phase, but there's nobody over the ball right now. And actually, Proctor's got to reload. He does really well to reload and then to get in a challenge, but you're not shifting. 13 against 2, you're just not shifting him from that type of situation, getting up off the floor, particularly when you've gone for his head, which wasn't the best option in the first place. Maybe find a different lever. But yeah, Ragnac could have potentially committed himself there. And then this next one, just go one clip on this concept. We see this loads. Start from say carrying, and just a bit of trapping from the outside. So we see it loads, tackle made, outside player in and just traps tackler. So just stops him from getting up on his feet. So in terms of cutting players down in the line, means that tackler can't reload, and they're just trying to grab and just going to keep people in. You see a lot of that, Duane?
Yeah, you do. I think it's probably because most teams are approaching the line with 3 players. So then they've got a responsibility to stay as a 3, wherever that 3 may be, and the picture changes. The 3 changes constantly in the game. Mm-hmm. The player on the outside have recognised he's part of that 3, so he's gone in and then how can he be most effective? Can he play the ball? Can he trap the player on the deck? I think he does a pretty decent job there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then very well with his feet as well to keep his foot back, and probably doesn't quite know where the ball is because he's fully engrossed in contact, but he's keeping his foot nice and long to just make sure the ball's inside back foot, which is thought it was a decent placement. And then just go back to Connacht, Cardiff Blues. Just real nice carry, and I'm really interested by everything we've talked about, all the technicalities we've talked about, and just how tough somebody is to move who's got himself in a good position. And Ollie Robinson's this is a real skill of his. If you look at this in a zoomed in version, so just talk to me kind of themes wise, what your and principles you're looking at, you're doing.
So from a defensive attack.
Let's go from a defensive, because these guys are. I'm sure this has delighted you, and it was 6 turnovers you won in that game.
Yeah, so I know Richard Hodge is our defence coach and leads on the contact area, and Ollie Robinson is class in this area, as well as many other boys are. I know looking at he's got himself in a real low position over the ball. He's actually probably shifted off his feet slightly, and by the 13 who's come in to try and clean him out. The 13 has lost his feet, but again, it goes to show, you can go into the contact area with as much physicality and force as the supporting corner players have done. But unless they're really technically efficient, then that jackal is going to survive the clean.
Yeah, I think I was really interested by the Connacht setup. So it's a set play. You can see it's a bit of a slice type of play where he's decided to take the contact. But then looking at the inside of Connacht's attack, I'm then interested by knowing that the jacklers often come from the inside, and that we need inside clears often to address it. Just where Connacht's inside clear is coming from in reality, just from this situation. They're getting outside support there first. It was actually, I think, done. We talked about the key points talked about so far. He's in, not a bad angle coming in. You could probably argue he's maybe a little bit square.
I just be looking at the guy. He's got his, for him, he had his chest on top of all his back. And then he's gone to get underneath. He's got no real impact underneath him to remove him. you know, if you watch all his tracking from the beginning, and you can see how effective he's been. The ball carrier for Connacht has actually gone forward, and all he speaks about this a lot. You know, the carrier has gone forward and made actual ground, but because of the Connacht support, as you mentioned, is probably not in picture. It's made life easy for Ollie, and then the cleaners have had to react late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think having an inside player. I mean, it's 9 coming across as the nearest inside supporter at that point. Who's actually then just flooding in for the play around. So it's just been a bit influence. So in attack, one ball carrier going into contact, you need somebody influencing those guys. So Ollie's able to track, bring himself around square, get through the gate and onto the ball. It would be more difficult if there was somebody else in that picture. If there was somebody on the inside track or even outside and is able to get quickly onto the ball. Whether or not this was planned, I don't know if it was planned to carry. It certainly looks like it is. I mean the play. The guys at the back don't look like they're waiting to receive. Then with their heads are away, hands are away. I mean they have a job catching there. So I can only see this as being fairly planned from Connacht. So even with a decent bit of force coming in, then at the end, it still stopped him. So I say the technical aspect. I mean, Jordan this earlier on. The technical aspect of ruck area is massive, and it probably bears more weight than just kind of just brute force. So what I thought we would do to kind of wrap it up is that have a look at some kind of community level. So my club, level 5 club, just some practices that we do, and then just see kind of crossover between the different levels of the game. So this is just a basic one-on-one practice. Just the tackle made and just big influence on the ball carrier. So he's turning himself away from the jackler. Jackler's going his shortest route then to get back around and through the gate, just to make sure that the ball's protected. And then talk a lot about just keeping the ball in the chest as long as possible. When the threat then is about to come, then start presenting. I'd probably argue slightly early with the present, but pretty decent. And then do loads of practices like this, which is kind of underloaded initially. So 1 versus 2 initially, inside support player, and just make it really difficult for them to get round. And as I say, with said previously, our 6 has come around probably too far on that example. Probably could have come in more efficiently on that inside angle and maybe cut through the gap the inside tackler's taken. What do you see in there, Duane?
Yeah, it's again. I think he's done a decent job. I think the supporting player could really fight from that inside and stay on the inside. Mm-hmm. But that success of the contact areas for me is done purely on the good work of the ball carrier.
Yeah, quality footwork and contact. Again, outside clear. So the first practice kind of links with this one, and his behaviours is no coincidence. His behaviours are positive there. And then this practice is based upon the ball carrier under pressure. So the person that's passed the ball and the support player, the ball carrier doesn't know which one of those two is going to join. He might be on his own. One of them might join. They might join late. So it's putting the ball under a bit of pressure to really look after the ball, fighting contact, and then he gets really late support then to come over. So those kind of practices just force the ball carrier to work really hard, and then get the support players in non-ideal situations then coming through. And that brings us to the end of it, Duane. So just do you want to maybe just wrap up with maybe 2 or 3, if you were to pick out 2 or 3 points that you think are really important and that all coaches should think about, what would you pick up as some of those points?
Well, I'll pinch one of yours, and I think the ability to, if you can course the contact area in a 1v1 situation, I think that's huge because we all want to attack. And the more bodies we can keep on our feet and can have influence on the attack, the better. Yeah. So how efficient can we be with our contact area and how many bodies we need to win that? Mm-hmm. So a ball carrier, as you've just shown in your clips, and then the first support player, how effective can a man be? Mm-hmm. I think if he can be effective, then it frees up the third and the final guy to make a decision whether he can play the ball lift to 9 or if he's needed to assist in the contact area.
Yeah, cool. Dwayne, thank you for your time. It's been incredibly interesting. I knew it was going to be an interesting conversation, and it's brought out loads of really good points. And I hope the listeners and watchers have enjoyed it. Please do stick your comments in the comment section. Like and share the videos to keep the message flowing. And if there's any questions, please do chuck them in, and do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. So, Dwayne, thank you very much for your time. We'll speak again.
Thanks, you get.
Thank you for watching episode 2 of the Deep Dive. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do like below and indeed subscribe to the channel to help it grow. There's plenty more to come in the series and indeed loads more on the channel, so check it out. See you soon.